So if yesterday's Mask of Mayhem teaser wasn't enough to convince you that we were on the brink of Borderlands 3, then my friends, today we have the official Borderlands 3 trailer dropped during the PAX panel, and we're going to break it down because there is a lot of stuff in this video. There is 3 minutes and 40 seconds of Borderlands goodness. It's the stuff we've all been waiting for, so let's not waste any time. Let's dive right in and let's start talking about all the stuff you want to know about. If you do enjoy this, then a like would be super appreciated. Comment down below, let me know what you like the best from the trailer, let me know what stands out to you, let me know if I missed anything in this breakdown, and of course if you haven't entered our giveaway for a chance to win a Pokemon Let's Go Nintendo Switch, the link to that is in the description box down below. Also, if you don't want to miss any of our future Borderlands content, don't forget to hit that notification button so you don't miss any time we upload a new video. Now, starting off at the very beginning, it is worth mentioning I am going to be breaking down purely the trailer. There is also a PAX panel that happened at the same time, and I'll be rounding up all the news in that in a separate video, so for the time being we're speaking purely based on the trailer. So the very first thing you see is of course a bandit mask, rather fitting given that yesterday's Mask of Mayhem teaser of course formed a bandit mask. However, if we then zoom out a little bit more, we then have this scene right now with a lot of text, a lot of different signs, and a lot of things to talk about, but the thing I really want to turn your attention to is this sign over here. It says Children of the Vault, and it then says meet the Calypsos. Now, if you guys saw the teaser yesterday, I mentioned that the two people that are more than likely going to be the main antagonists in the game, they kind of had this twin vibe going on, and if you've paid attention to any of the leaks or rumors going around, then it does in fact line up with exactly what we've heard up until this point, and you can see it right there. It says meet the Calypsos. These are the Calypso Twins, and they actually have names next to them if you zoom in. The name of the female character is Tyrene, and the name of the male character is Troy. Now, whether they are the leaders of the Children of the Vault or simply aligned with them, you know, like henchmen or something like that, will of course remain to be seen, but they are without question linked with that whole group. Don't forget, there was of course that Easter egg that got cracked a while back in Battleborn that said, visit Promethea, Children of the Vault, we are not on Pandora anymore, Tannis is not what she seems, do not open the vaults. So I'm sure we'll make more sense of that as we go. Also on that sign there's some more text that says honor the father down below, and of course you'll also see plenty of Children of Vault signage, graffiti throughout this entire trailer. Sometimes it's abbreviated to COV, but either way it's fair to say even if we don't know what their motives are right now, it's probably going to be the complete opposite or the polar opposite to us Vault Hunters. There's also a fun sign over there that says free brainwash, bring your friend, COV, so hey, if you want to brainwash then that's where to be. But if we then scan further forwards, we get our first official look at the twins. Of course we saw them in the teaser yesterday, but now we see them in full colour and they look really cool. Now again, going based on the leaked information a little while ago, the rumours and whatnot, I mentioned before how I didn't kind of talk about it too much at the time because we weren't necessarily sure what was right and what was wrong, but a lot of that basically lines up with what we have here. So according to that information, Tyrene is a Siren. I mean, you don't really need that information to work that out because she's got the tattoos, but on top of that, supposedly Troy is capable of either stealing or siphoning Siren powers because of their twin blood link. Despite the fact that prior to this, all Sirens have been female, he also has this interesting looking robot arm thing, so I don't know whether that perhaps links into his ability to use those powers, and then we'll kind of get a better look at that a little bit later on during this video. There's also lots of bandits running alongside them, clearly their army and whatnot, but yeah, they are very cool characters, even if they do look like they are part of a edgy punk band. Moving on from there, we then get a look at Lilith, of course, returning, familiar face, always good to see her, and then after that, obviously, Borderlands 3 title, if you needed it officially confirmed in text, there it is on screen, and following that, we then get a look at the 4 new Vault Hunters. Again, I called this out in the teaser yesterday, but we get to see them in colour, in action, and yo, they look really cool. Again, I do want to say, Shotgun playing as the Beastmaster because I love his design, he looks very cool, I'm definitely playing as him, I don't care what anyone says. However, from left to right, we have the new Siren, we have the Beastmaster, we have the Soldier, and we also have the Assassin. I'll speak more about what we know about them in just a moment, but first things first, we get to see them walk rather epically towards the screen, wielding some pretty cool weapons. Following on from that, we then get a couple of scenes of some different environment. We have what looks to be like a crazy fairground, and then potentially some sort of arena. It says, live witness mayhem, rupture upon us, holy is the mouth that bleeds. So maybe this is some kind of arena where you go in and there's a, cage match and whatnot. We'll probably see something later on that might well link to this, so that is something worth paying attention to. Now, moving on to the Vault Hunters. Speaking a little bit about these based on what we kind of know from the leaks and the rumors. The first one up is the Siren. She supposedly is called Amara, and she's a melee focus class similar to Brick from Borderlands 1, and she has 3 core action skills. There's a phase lock, which can hold up to 3 enemies at once, and we actually get a look at that a little bit later in this video. There's also a ground pound and a self-projection that can supposedly fire at enemies. We then have Zane, the assassin or the operative. Supposedly he is similar to Zero. He can also throw out a decoy that will generate aggro or draw aggro for you, which you can clearly see in the background, this kind of holographic projection. And he's also supposedly quite wealthy, and he'll have some classy customizations. Again, keep in mind, this stuff comes largely speaking from the rumors and whatnot, but based on all the stuff we've seen, it does all seem to be lining up quite nicely. And that sounds pretty cool. He looks cool, I like him, but I'm still Beastmaster. Speaking of which, the next one is the Beastmaster. Now, what we know about him so far is, obviously, he is a pet class. He can choose between 3 different pets. Now, there are 3 creatures on screen right now. I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure that the Skag is definitely one of his pets, partly because it has some customization on it. It's got like a little scarf around it, it's got a little plate by its eye, and we see it many times throughout the trailer, so I think that one is fair to say. The other 2, it will probably make sense given their placement on screen that they are maybe his other pets. We see the creature over on the right with a mechanical fist, so I like to think if he is going to have a pet, it's not just going to be like a creature from the world or an enemy from the world. It's probably going to have some kind of customization, much like the Skag does, so these could be his 3 different pets. I like the look of the one on the right, does look pretty cool. On top of that, apparently his pets will all have unique abilities, and he also appears to be wielding some kind of scythe as his melee weapon, this sort of bone scythe. Looks very cool, definitely my favourite character so far. Then we have the new soldier, who is supposedly called Mose, or Mose, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. She is the bot jock. She is obviously the new soldier class. She's very tech focused, and she also has a robot that she can call in. You can see that in the background, and she supposedly has a very co-op focused skill tree, and also a buddy can actually climb into that robot and control the turret, which we see later on in this trailer, so that's pretty cool. Then obviously we see the Vault Hunters jumping across. We then see a few more environments, and then we get a look at the Siren's awesome ability. This actually reminds me of, did any of you guys ever play Asura's Wrath? Back in the day, he's got a move kind of like this, and yo, that's an awesome game. If you haven't played that, check it out. But anyway, irrespective of that, very cool ability. Obviously, Siren powers, melee focused. She is going to be a lot of fun to mess around with. Then following on from that, we're then going to look at a few more environments. I really like the look of that sort of fortress looking area. That looks very cool. But then the next scene, we see the Vault Hunters crowding around a vault key, unless it's some kind of fake or decoy, because don't forget that Battleborn Easter egg did say Tannis cannot be trusted, so, you know, you never know what's going on here. But it is also worth calling out at this moment, since the Vault Hunters on screen, something else that did come from the rumors a little while back was that supposedly the class is going to work in a little bit of a different way in Borderlands 3. It said that instead of having the 3 skill trees like they typically would have, then instead have 1 big tree, and then in addition to that, they're also going to have 3 core action skills. So it works a little bit differently, and I definitely cannot wait to see those in more detail to actually get a feel for how that'll pan out in game. Following on from that, we then get a look at some action sequences with the Vault Hunters running, and we get to see Zane on the left riding on that bot, and of course he's manning the cannons, so that goes to show how the co-op functionality between those will work, and that's pretty cool. I like that a lot. We also get to see how the soldier actually gets into the mech later on in this trailer, so stay tuned for that. Following on from there, we then get a look at a player control vehicle. We can see that this one is being driven by the soldier, and it has an arm on the top which can dash some explosive barrels. And then following on from there, we've then got a section of the trailer which is super fast cuts. So I'm going to go through this quickly, but I'm also going to try and pause in a few sections so you can actually see what's going on, because, yo, if you watch through this in the normal speed, it's very easy to miss some stuff. The first scene is, of course, Tyreen holding some kind of glowing object. Followed by that, we're then in what appears to be some kind of boss room where there's fire raining down from the sky. If you then take a look at the top right-hand corner, you can see there is a creature behind the pillar. Can't see it very clearly right now. We do get a look at it later on in the trailer. Following on from there, we then get a look at another vehicle with this crazy massive jet engine on the back. So probably goes to show some of the different customization options you can have on your vehicles. We then have bandits, we have more vehicles, we have more bandits, and we then have the Siren doing some kind of awesome melee attack. In fact, that looks kind of like a Rasengan from Naruto, so yo, that's I know I said Beastmaster, but Siren's looking really cool. But anyway, moving on from there, we then have some kind of Daft Punk looking bandit. We have our Vault Hunters back to back wielding some very cool looking weapons. We have Flak with his Skag buddy, one of his pets. We have a big guy with a tiny head. We have Zane running alongside the soldier who's actually driving this interesting one wheel. This new vehicle looks very cool, not entirely sure what it's called, but let's call it a one wheel because that works out. We then have more bandits, and then we have the Siren shooting some crazy looking weapon. I mean, crazy weapons is in Borderlands DNA, I think it's fair to say, but yo, that actually looks pretty sweet. For the next scene, we then go to look at a few Sirens. Of course, we have Lilith down on her knees to begin with, shortly followed by Maya, which also means that the scene that we saw in the teaser trailer, the one that I speculated may have been Maya up on the top right over here, that is indeed her, so that's pretty cool to see. Following on from there, we then get a scene of Lilith looking pretty beaten up. Looks like she's crawling towards some kind of vault key with the twins behind her. But what I want to pay attention to is actually look at the way that they are interacting. You'll see that Troy and Tyreen have this sort of arm lock going on, this sort of handshake thing. And I did mention that supposedly Troy has the ability to either borrow, siphon, or use Siren abilities. So you can kind of see that he's got these red-looking Siren tattoos on his arm. They also extend to his face, so maybe this is how he's able to borrow powers. Maybe this is how he's able to exchange it. Admittedly, speculation at this point, but there's definitely something rather interesting to note there, the way that they are seemingly doing something. Then we get a few more action sequences, and then we get to this point here where we see, again, the operative running forward with the soldier driving that really cool vehicle in the background, and then when it moves past, we actually get a good look at it. We get a look at the soldier piloting it. It's, of course, that same thing that we saw inside the mouth part of the mask during the teaser yesterday, so it's kind of cool to actually see that in action. Then following on from there, there's more vehicles and more kind of running through different environments. We can look at some really cool different environments that we'll be exploring throughout the game, so definitely looking forward to diving into those. And we also get a look at Ellie's scrapyard as well, which is always awesome to see. Then moving on from there, the next section is all about the baddies. So this one shows off some of the different enemies, again showing off the Calypso Twins first, and we get another look at that sort of Siren-like tattoo on Troy's face, again them looking like they're posing for a punk rock band, but no, they do look very cool. I also quite like how Tyreen has this sort of like light color scheme, Troy has this dark color scheme. They've almost got this sort of like yin yang thing going on, so I like that a lot. We then have a look at what appears to be some kind of boss battle, this giant skull looking mech, which could well be inside that area we saw from earlier because they spoke about watching the Mayhem live. This looks very much like some kind of arena. There's of course plenty of spectators in the background, so maybe this is the inside of that area, potentially. And then we have a giant fire-breathing dinosaur. It's not a dinosaur, I know, but yo, I love my dinosaurs, so let's just call it that. We then have a couple more enemies to run through. The Vault Hunters back to back again. We then get a look at some rather interesting mech-like enemies, and then we get to the funny part of the trailer, where there is Brick doing a saxophone solo, so I mean, I needn't say more. Apart from the fact that during this section we see some more familiar faces again. Maya, then into Brick, Mordecai, and of course, grown-up Tiny Tina. We see Ellie. We see Sir Hammerlock, a much older looking version of Aurelia, and also, I can't remember who that is on the right, I apologise. And then of course, after that, man like Claptrap getting himself into trouble, as always. And then we have Reese with Zero in the background, so that's pretty cool. Lots of returning characters, that is incredibly awesome. Following on from there, we also get to look at Tanis, Marcus, and the back of Moxie. I'm not entirely sure who that is over on the left, I can't really make it out, so moving swiftly on from there. We then turn our attention to the reason you play Borderlands, or okay, one of the reasons you play Borderlands, and that is the billions of guns. This is, of course, the OG loot shooter, showing how loot should be done, showing how loot rains from the sky in everything you do. So lots of weapons to look at there. I may well do a video at some point following up on all the weapons we've seen so far, but there's a lot to go through, so stay tuned for that one. But do you want to turn your attention to the best gun in the game? I haven't used it, but I don't care. It's a gun with legs. It's definitely, without question, the best gun in the game. So I want that. However, the next section we actually get a look at how the actual soldier mech animation works. You can sort of see that she's obviously called it in, and then it materializes around her. She's sort of like in this cradle stance. Then she appears inside the mech, and of course it then leaves the top open for whoever to jump on top and get into it. And then finally, moving on from there, this next section is the super fast cut finish. So again, if you watch this in real time, it goes through incredibly quickly, so I'm going to try and call out a few things worth noting in this section. Of course, the first thing is plenty of different weapons, lots of very cool different weapons, each time in different environments. However, I do want to turn your attention to this moment here, where we appear to get a look at the Siren's phase lock ability. You can see there's this hand coming out the ground, and this enemy is trapped inside, so I imagine that's kind of what the phase lock looks like. Pretty awesome. Then in this section there is a crazy looking weapon. I feel like I'm probably drawn to this because I love black and red, but that looks incredibly awesome, so whatever it is, I want that. Then in this next section, we actually get a very quick look at, remember I mentioned earlier in that room where the fire was raining down from the sky, there was a creature behind the pillar and we couldn't quite make it out? Well, this appears to be what that looks like, so let's a better look at what I assume is some kind of boss. And then that goes into the very end with Claptrap breaking it down. So that, my friends, is pretty much it for the time being. As mentioned, there's probably a ton more stuff. I've gone through this many times already, and thought I'd call that all out as the most noteworthy stuff right now. Of course, if there's more stuff to talk about or there's more information based on the PAX panel and stuff, I will keep you guys back up to date. But for the time being, that's a rundown of the Borderlands 3 trailer. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Again, let me know in the comments down below what you think of it. Let me know if you guys saw anything else that you want to talk about. And of course, don't forget to keep it locked because I will have plenty more Borderlands content coming your way. You're going to have a ton of content for Borderlands 3 throughout the year, so stay tuned, you don't want to miss it. And if you want a complete breakdown of the PAX panel itself, that'll also be live on the channel later on today. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to check out some more awesome stuff from us here at Arekkz Gaming, then you should definitely try to catch 269 and Paradise Central streaming 6 days a week. You can find a link to the multi-stream in the description box down below. They play a wide range of games, and what's more, we also have the Endgame store. By watching their streams, you earn currency, and you can redeem that currency on the Endgame store for really cool prizes. Those can range from things like games, comics, and figures, all the way up to controllers, capture cards, and even consoles. So definitely drop by and become part of the community. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, then make sure you're subscribed and be sure to click on that little bell icon to turn on notifications so you don't miss our next upload. You can watch more videos by clicking on the options here. But once again, thanks very much for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.